nice people, respectable people, smart people, the kind of people who probably make good neighborly neighbors, the kind of people who write for newspapers. And they're all sitting around and they are having a reasoned debate on the television. A reasoned debate about you. About what kind of person you are, about whether or not you're capable of being a good parent, about whether you want to destroy marriage, about whether or not you're safe around children, about whether or not God herself thinks you're an abomination, about whether in fact maybe you are intrinsically disordered. And even the nice TV presenter lady that you feel is like almost a friend because you see her being nice on TV all the time, even she thinks it's perfectly okay that they're all having this reasoned debate about you and about who you are and about what rights you deserve or don't deserve. And that feels oppressive. I am 45 years old and I'm not putting up anymore because I don't have the patience anymore. 45 years old. I was born 6 months before the Stonewall riots, and you have had 45 years to work out that despite appearances, I am just as ordinary, just as unremarkable, and just as human as you are. I'm 45 years old, and I am not asking anymore. I am just being. Human being.
Thank you so much. I know you're only doing that because I look fucking amazing. I know, I look amazing. I was getting ready, I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, Panti, you look fucking amazing. And then I said, I know! Which is weird because we rarely agree on anything. And can I just say, it's absolutely lovely to be here in Montreal. Thank you so much for having me. Toronto. I'm drunk already. I've been to Montreal loads of times. This is my first time to Toronto. Thank you for having me, Toronto. And it's wonderful to be here at this wonderful event, raising funds for the great work that they do next door at the 519, which I visited. It's a fantastic place. Well done, Toronto. Many other cities would be great to have something, a resource like that. Although I'll be honest with you, when the 519 first invited me, I was a little reluctant at first, well, because it's a long way to come. But then they assured me that Toronto was full of aggressive Latino tops who appreciate the charms of an older woman. So I hopped on the next flight out of Dublin and arrived pre-lubed. But of course it turns out they were lying to me. You would have trouble finding a top in H&M in this town, it turns out. But all joking aside, it is really lovely to be here, and I wish I could stay longer, but I am going back to Dublin tomorrow so I can be in Dublin for our Pride on Saturday. And I think it's going to be a particularly special Pride because you may be aware that only a couple of weeks ago, Ireland became the first country in the world to introduce same-sex marriage by popular vote. And we are very proud of that because we worked very long and very hard to achieve that. And we are very proud to be joining you, Canada, as one of the few but growing number of countries in the world that treat its gay citizens as full and equal citizens under the law. But of course, now that we in Ireland have achieved that and you long ago achieved that, the question is sometimes asked, well, in that case, what is Pride for? What is the purpose of Pride? And it's a fair question. And I remember my first Pride, I remember it vividly. I was a shy baby drag queen. I was nervous about taking to the streets in broad daylight. I was absolutely sure that I was gay, but I was not absolutely sure that I was proud of it. But when the parade moved off that day, it left all of my doubts behind, because it was thrilling to be among so many other proud, happy, gay people. People who were noisy, colorful, and unashamed. Now, of course, I absolutely loved that. It changed my life in some ways. But I have since then been to many, many prides. And when you get to my age and you're looking into another hot day, a long day under the sun, and you're wearing a lot of nylon on your head, and your big feet are squeezed into bone-crushing high heels, an old queen like me can be tempted towards cynicism. Why am I still marching? What am I parading for? What exactly am I proud about? But then I will look down from some float or some leather queen, and I will see a young lesbian on the sidewalk, and she is at her very first pride. And she has a rainbow flag in her hand, and her face is lit up with excitement. She is alive with happiness, because only a few months before, she was feeling weird and lonely in school, and now here she is, surrounded by thousands and thousands of people who are just like her. And I remember why I am still marching. I march to remind the wider community that we may be a minority, but we exist. And we exist in numbers large enough that we cannot be ignored. I still march to let lonely young LGBT people know that we are here, we are fucking happy about it, it does get better, and we are ready to welcome you whenever you are ready. And I parade to celebrate our community and marvel at its diversity. I parade to celebrate how much we have achieved and how fucking far we have come. I am also parading to be a beacon of hope for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people who are not as fortunate as us and live in countries where this kind of event would be unimaginable. Living in countries where you are beaten, imprisoned, tortured, and even murdered simply because you are us. And so we come together also to recharge our batteries and remind ourselves of how much work we still have to do. Now around this time every year, there are disagreements and small arguments in the gay community all around the world over pride and how we should celebrate it and what it really means. And that's okay. It is natural that we will sometimes disagree, and it is exciting to me that we still care so much about pride that we are prepared to passionately disagree about it. Because we may be, in some ways, in the same boat. We share a sort of a shared experience, a shared struggle, a shared experience of being different, but we are a diverse community. We do not all look the same, or sound the same, or dress the same, or even love the same. And yes, that diversity means we won't always agree with each other, but that diversity is also our greatest strength, because together we can move mountains. Especially if there's a butch dyke in charge. When I went on that first Pride Parade, I was afraid that being gay was going to be some sort of burden or limitation. But I now know that it is not. Being gay is a fucking gift. And on a wonderful gay day like today, it feels like such an extravagant gift that I hardly feel worthy. I just feel incredibly lucky. So this week, if you bump into that young lesbian on her first Pride Parade, give her a hug and say, "Welcome home." And finally, I would just say to you that also perhaps this week, it is a good time to remember our heterosexual brothers and sisters. Because, let's be honest, it must be really awful for them. Happy Pride, Toronto! And by the way, I fucking love poutine!